I am a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. As you can probably clearly see, I mean, posters are right there. There's a Funko Pop right there. There's a plushie. A grown man with a Sonic plushie right there. Can y'all see it? I have a Sonic plushie. You probably know that already if you pay attention to detail. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Sonic franchise. I have been for a long time. Pretty much born and raised into this. If there's any nigga who can speak about Sonic the most, I won't say it's me. Actually, scratch that. I said any nigga. So yeah, that means black people. If there's any black person that can speak Sonic the most, it's probably me. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta have top 3 on that podium. But we gotta talk about this man's comeback because he blatantly had the greatest comeback in all of pop culture. Like, there's not has been a franchise nor a company who has been as down bad as Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog and then came back up. I mean, granted, in the 90s, he had that shit popping. He was the only 90s video game character that's actually hanging with Mario. Not a little bit under, he was actually hanging with Mario. He was actually hanging with Mario in the 90s. In some parts, outperformed Mario. The one guy that actually do that back then. So like, yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't like he was always down and he came back up now. Like, no, he was up at a point, but that man's lows were low. For this video, I want to go down memory lane from times before even I existed. I want just a deep dive nerd history of Sonic the Hedgehog by yours truly. This should be W video. But before we get into it, I'd like to thank you guys for 600 subscribers. It means the world to me. That last video I dropped about 2010s NBA really did really well. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like the video, leave a like. It helps with the algorithm. If you don't like it, okay, that's fine. Somebody don't like it. And also, if you're not subbed and you like the content, check out my other videos and please subscribe, because you subscribe, that helps me, and we're on the road to 1,000. And you know, I'm a small channel, so when I get big, you can tell all your homies, oh yeah, I'm a Just Lateef OG. I was there before he hit 1,000. It'll be tough, so please do it if you want to. I'm not forcing you yet. All right, on to the video. Sonic Adventure. Now, they're not saying, no, this wasn't the true Jump to 3D. The first 3D game was Sonic 3D Blast. Fuck out of here. We're not mentioning Sonic 3D Blast. That would, no, that's not 3D for us. Sonic Adventure was the true jump into 3D for the franchise, but it had its issues. I mean, there was the catfishing game, and that's like the really only like big gameplay issue from my end, at least. I'm playing Sonic to run around as Sonic and, you know, do stuff with Tails. Even I want to play with Amy. I would rather do what Knuckles is doing before I hop up and, you know, play fishing simulator with Big the Cat. No hate towards Big, it's just fishing though. I don't even fish in real life. I really don't give a fuck. From a technical standpoint, there was weird character animations. Sonic was off a beam tweaking in some of the cutscenes, but I mean, it's overall a good game. You gotta understand, at this time in 3D gaming, a lot of the games were pretty janky. They were pretty janky. The best one from that era was probably Super Mario 3, and even that game is pretty janky at times. That was just how 3D games were at the time. Like, most of them were janky. That's just how it was. That'll make them bad. Compare them games from like the mid 2000s, there's a certain quality drop off. Like, it's a difference. Sonic Adventure was overall a good ass game. It gave us some good character moments. It gave us Chaos, which is like one of the most underrated Sonic villains ever. Overall, fantastic game. Good true entry into 3D. Couldn't say shit about Sonic. Sonic was still good. And that carried on to Sonic Adventure 2, which was Sonic Adventure 1, but better. The only upside that 1 has over 2 is that 1 doesn't have linear levels. The Sonic levels in 1 are not linear. They're more open world. They're more open based. There's better routes. Sonic Adventure 2 is at the start of like the more linear side of the gameplay, which I'm not really a huge disser of. I don't really hate the linear, you know, gameplay style. It's not better than like the more openness of Sonic Adventure, I'm not gonna lie. But this game was a complete cultural shift, not just for games, but for all of pop culture. And it was a good motherfucking game too. I mean, it had no issues really, besides dialogue being cut off and cutscenes and whatnot.
Is everyone all right? We should be landing soon.
The hatch doors are open.
Don't sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those Master Emeralds.
What do you mean, don't sweat it?
Right?
Land the shuttle and let me out.
We're gonna crash this thing if you keep that up. Oh no!
And I'll admit, the Rouge and Knuckles stages, this is a skill issue. I'm not gonna lie, I'm ass at these. I can't find these emerald shards or I can't find these jewels in like a good amount of time. I always get an ass rank on these stages. Complete skill issue on my behalf. I will get better. I've been trying for the past few years. That shit's still hard. Over the years, this game has become recognized as one of, if not the definitive Sonic game. If you sit up and ask a Sonic fan what their favorite Sonic 3D game is, they're gonna say most likely the safest and most popular answer is SA2. Actually, let me not say SA. Sonic Adventure 2. Everybody loves this game. Is it my favorite 3D Sonic game? Nah. but it's like top 2, top 3. I mean, it's good as fuck. It's definitely one of the best games in the series. Like I said, time and time again. But we must remember later in this video, this game will be very important 20 years down the line. Remember that. If you a fan, you already know what I'm talking about. Carrying on the Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm pairing these up together because they're both in the same field. They're not as good as Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2, nearly as good, like nowhere near, but they're still pretty solid. Y'all gonna say Shadow trash, Shadow trash. Shadow the Hedgehog is not trash. The only L that separates Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog is that in Shadow the Hedgehog you have to play that shit like, I don't know, 10 times. In Sonic Heroes you gotta play like 4. Yeah, who wants, I don't want to play a game 10 times no matter what. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care how good the game is. But that's the only difference. Like they're both, you know, same controls mostly. Heroes has the team mechanic, but that's the only main key difference besides that and how many times you gotta play the game to beat it. So it's not like, you know, it's not a big deal. They both are the same, to me at least, when it comes to gameplay. Shadow got a better story, but Heroes got better mechanics. It's really an even ordeal to me. They both just alright games from the adventure era before we hit the dark time. So for the next mainline Sonic game, Sega wanted to go big boom, wanted to make the ground shake. The new console gen was releasing: Xbox 360, PS3, and the Wii. The big 3. Developers came to realize though that the Wii wasn't that tough. Don't get me wrong, it was a W console. Good ass console. It's literally one of the most iconic consoles ever. Definitely the most iconic between them 3 for sure. But the hardware was not tough. And by that I mean it was not hanging with Xbox's and PS3's hardware. The Xbox 360 and PS3 has similar capabilities, so majority rules. They gotta maximize the games for the 2 out of 3 systems that can actually handle the game they want to make. So they did that. But before they did that, they was like, nah, we actually can't do that. Sonic team had a meeting and was like, some of you niggas gotta go to the basement and make a game exclusively for the Wii. We ain't trying to lose bread. And this nigga Sonic does way too good on Nintendo console. So that's what they did. And that's how we got Sonic in the Secret Rings. Everybody's favorite game, folks. Sonic in the Secret Rings is a game that nobody hardly cares about. It took disadvantage of the Wii motion controller. And I'm saying disadvantage because that shit was ass. It was not good. But I'll give it this. The storybook series was a very cool concept. One of the most underrated story-based concepts of the franchise. Same ordeal for Sonic and the Black Knight. I mean, both games are damn near the same, just different storybook concepts. Alright, bro, let me stop trolling y'all. We'll talk about the elephant in the room, the mustached man of the franchise, going by the name of Sonic the Hedgehog. Or as we call it, Sonic 06. What? Nigga, you ain't gonna say it? Say it, bro. Say the name. Say the fucking name. Sonic 06. Say the goddamn name. Okay, bro. Sonic 06. I don't know why I was dodging Sonic 06 as if I thought it was a bad game for real. Now I know what you're saying. Dude, this game completely ruined the franchise. And it caused a bombastic shift. How dare you say it isn't booty? Because in my heart, it's just not. I mean, cope. Sonic 06 was not as bad as it seemed. I understand the loading screens suck. They took forever. I understand the glitches. I understand all of that. What I don't understand is but we got Silver, who's underrated as balls. My mindset with this game is that if you shape it up just halfway, it becomes one of the better games of the franchise. And I'll die on that hill. They're talking about making a remake about it right now, and I'm somewhat down for it. I mean, there's some story elements that can be shifted like that, or hey, they could just buy Project 06 somehow, because the guy who made it single-handedly turned the worst Sonic game, by the fans' opinion, into like a top 10 game, maybe even top 5 game of the franchise. Overall, 06 wasn't as bad as it seemed. As you will see later in this video, I will defend this take because it literally gets. And I'm positive at the time that journalists just wanted to pick on Sonic a lot because they didn't understand Sonic. And this is a claim that I have hella support for my next entry on this list. Sonic Unleashed. Greatest Sonic game of all time, even 16 years, pushing 17 years after the fact. This is literally still the best Sonic game of all time. It's truly the most timeless Sonic game there is. At least when it comes to the 3D ones. Story, the writing, the cast, the environments, the graphics, the animations. Bro, this game literally had Pixar level animated cutscenes. Still holds up to this day in Big 24, pushing Big 25. Looks better than some movies that come out in this day and age. And the Werehog gimmick added that hack and slash gameplay. It was underrated. I know a lot of people like to sit up and say, Unleash trash because of the half the game is you playing as the Werehog and the Werehog suck. Keep whining. Y'all gotta expand y'all game taste. The hack and slash gameplay is similar to like the OG God of War, which are some of the best games ever. And not only that, okay, I'm pushing it a little bit. It's like God of War, but I'm acting like it's like a carbon copy. It's obviously not as good as God of War, but it's still good. It's like a washed up great value version of God of War, but like a great value version of God of War is still like a gourmet version of anything else, if that makes sense. I'm bad at explaining things sometimes. It was overall a great game, and after Sonic 06 flopped, Sega had to make sure they came correct, and they dropped Sonic Unleashed. They totally came correct 2 years after the fact. Great game after one of their worst, just for IGN to give him a dookie butt score. I swear, IGN single-handedly ruined Sonic's reputation, bro. For the late 2000s to 2010, they ruined that shit single-handedly. It was always just them. Had them saying that Sonic was never good. Nigga, fuck you! Overall, Sonic Unleashed is goated. I love this game. This is my favorite Sonic game ever, at least from a 3D standpoint. I will hold that forever until some new shit come out that's like as good as it, but for right now, they're my favorite. But if they make a remaster, please limit or just completely eliminate the Sun and Moon medals. That shit was that, I'm not gonna say it was ass, but it was hard to find. Then after that, drop Sonic Colors, which is overrated as balls. A lot of people I know love this game, and I just never got the hype for it. Like, for starters, I'm not the biggest fan of Wisp. And 2, I don't like the overly platform level design. It slows the game down. 3, there is no 3 for real, but 3 is the magic number. So pretend I said something mean about it. Never mind. There is a 3. The writing is ass. This is the cringiest writing out of any Sonic game in like the history of Sonic games. At this time, Sega wanted to ease up off the cool, edgy stuff and cater completely towards families and children. This is not an issue. I mean, the movies do that. A lot of the older games do that. That's okay. I mean, it's a talking fucking hedgehog. It's a talking animal. Like, okay, it's usually supposed to be for kids. But the issue lies when you got this nigga calling motherfucker Baldy McNosehair, and when you tell Roger Craig Smith, who's a great voice actor by the way, to sound like a nasally annoying ass cornball. Simply put, Sonic character at its core is better than this. I'm not saying I'd be cussing or kissing human woman. Just don't make him like he was in Colors. A fucking dork. Generations was a great game. The first 3D Sonic game I owned, and it's still a favorite. It was hanging with Unleashed when it came to level design for the boost formula. The inclusion of classic Sonic was just so cool before Force was ruined out. We're gonna get there. You played as both classic and modern Sonic as you went through various legendary stages from each mainline Sonic game of the series, finding some legendary bosses too. Like, you had Metal Sonic in there, the Silver Boss fight, you had Shadow in there, Egg Dragoon, you fought Chaos. Chaos so underrated, bro. But yeah, it was a great game. You just playing through Sonic's highlights, which was really cool. It was really tough. To top it all off, this was the only Sonic game to get a good IGN rating since Colors, which came out like 1 year prior with Colors. My point is, up to now, there was only 2 really appreciated games in the franchise since 2004's Sonic Heroes. The franchise was in a rocky place, on and off, with not much stability. Then it became just plain ass, bro. There was a very long period where Sonic was just seen as lame. It was social sewer slide, bro. If you were talking to a baddie and she asked, hey, what are you interested in? And you're like, oh, I like Sonic. Ew, what the fuck? Get this musty ass nigga away from me. Get this musty ass nigga away from me. Get this musty ass nigga away from me. It's just Sonic. Musty ass nigga away from me. It's just Sonic. Get this dirty nigga away from me. I know a lot of viewers watching this are fans of anime. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of it. I've watched some, but it's not my main source of media. But I can confidently say that at the time anime was seen as lame, Sonic was too, and we had it just as bad as you niggas did. I know you don't want to speak about your trauma, but we had it bad too, bro. We had it bad too. Crazy times seeing where we are now. I mean, everybody want to love anime, everybody want to love Sonic all of a sudden, but hey, they getting put on the peak. Back to the timeline. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric and Sonic Lost World both suck. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric suffered from a similar fate as 06, but this is the game I'm like, y'all think 06 is bad? Alright, nigga. If you shaped up Sonic Boom, it would still be an ass game, because at its core, it's not even a Sonic game. It's more comparable to a Jak and Daxter, but instead of being goated, it was ass. Sonic Lost World was just a Mario 3D World wannabe. And that kind of aesthetic does not work for Sonic whatsoever. Then it comes in Sonic Mania, which was my most replayed Sonic game ever. It was the start of the great shift for the franchise. Yes, I said that. I think we all feel that, you know? That was like the first fantastic game in a long time we had. Developed by Christian Whitehead and Pagoda West Games, they reinvented what made the classic Genesis title so special. The best aspects of all those games were combined into one special title, which nobody in the franchise that are fans downplayed. I mean, fans and critics alike really enjoyed Sonic Mania. Like I said, it's my most replayed Sonic game ever. It's that good of a pickup. There's a few cons, minimal cons. I mean, every Sonic game has cons. Most level settings were reused, but the points still stand, bro. Like, the energy was shifting. This was a great game. This was a great restart for the franchise. The games were getting good again, right? And then Sonic Forces came out and tried to fuck it all up for him. Like, right after Mania came out, it was Forces, and that nigga was a terrible second leg. When I said we didn't cover the worst in this franchise earlier, I meant it, okay? 06 was not as bad as this fucking game. I promise you. But now we are indeed covering the worst thing this franchise has ever served us, if it's mainline Sonic, because we've seen worse. Wanna know why? Because they didn't even try. Not a single lick. 95% of Sonic Forces is automated. I'm gonna show a clip right here, just look. Classic Sonic was unnecessary, and they didn't even give him good physics. The avatar was cool. There's not much complaining with that part. But the story, oh my god, the story. You guys have to agree with me that when I say Sonic Forces had the most potential on paper of any Sonic game up to that date. That trailer had me thinking this was Sonic Generations 2. Like, dude, they had Chaos, Infinite, Zavok's punk ass, Metal Sonic, and Shadow posted up against Sonic in the trailer, and Eggman took over the world. The stakes seem as high as they ever been. Actually, not really. I mean, Dark Gaia was evil as fuck. And you know, there's 06. This is like one of the higher stake games. I mean, Eggman finally actually took over the world. He finally actually won in some sense. Then you buy the game and it's weak. Literal automated game. Story was fumbled terribly. Stakes weren't even that high. They took back over the world in their base forms. That has always irked me. You mean tell me that one time Eggman actually take over the world and he's the ruler of the world, you come back and beat him with some of your homies in your base form? I know you get stronger every other minute, but nigga, if Eggman took over the world, I'll be thinking, oh shit, Sonic gotta lock in for real. This was crazy bad, bro. He no diff that nigga, bro. No diff. I just can't mess with Force because it's polished, and this was definitely what they wanted to release. Like, they chose to drop this, and that's why it's worse than 06. Because with 06, it was rushed, but you know, if you fix up 06, like you have Project 06, it becomes a great game. If you fix up Forces, I mean, you can't, like, you know what I mean? If you fix the bugs up in Forces and stuff like that, it's still an ass game. You're still just going straight line for the whole fucking level. Now, in between Forces and Frontiers, we were getting news that Sonic had a movie in development made by Paramount. And this was crazy because I speak for everybody when I say this. We had no idea what to expect back then. Then we got shown quite possibly the worst design for a character in history. I mean, the public outrage online was crazy. We thought that franchise was Swiss cheese from mediocre games for the most part, and then we have an ugly ass demon starring the movie. Like, no, like we thought it was over. Then the impossible happened. They decided to go back and rework the design. A studio actually caring about what the consumer has to say. This choice was the start of a positive domino effect for the franchise, and it gave us a sense of hope that not only Paramount, but people at Sonic Team also take fan opinion into consideration and give us what we actually want. Sonic Movie 1 released, and it was easily one of the best video game inspired movies at the time, opening doors for other IPs to take the chance to theaters. Sonic Movie 2 did even better 2 years after the first, expanding the movie universe, adding Tails and Knuckles, adding the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald, adding more lore. It felt more Sonic-y. The first movie, like a cool 7 out of 10. You know, I mean, it's pretty cliche. You could throw any character in that movie that's not Sonic and have it still work. But the second one, that's a cool 9 out of 10. I'm not gonna hold you. The stakes were higher. It genuinely felt like a Sonic movie. It was good for kids. The movies helped put higher expectations onto the franchise since Jeff Fowler and Paramount put so much effort into improving on their vision. Not only that, but it made Sonic somewhat respectable again. I mean, once you hit the theaters and you're getting bank, you can't really get cooked that much. I mean, people are watching you now. They're fucking with the content. And then Sonic Frontiers released years after, putting Sonic into his most unique style yet. open world, which was a huge step away from what we've grown to expect from the franchise. I mean, most of these games has had linear stages and whatnot. This game was open world based, and it totally worked. I mean, there's a lot of pop-in and hella rails, and the worlds were very empty. There was like 0 people there. Empty grass, plains, and sand for the most part, with rails pop-in. But Frontiers was still a good game. It just felt unfinished. It felt like Sega was afraid to take the complete jump into open world with Sonic because, you know, it's a crazy concept for that character. You usually don't have open world games when it comes to speed, but it showed potential, which that's all that matters. After that, we got some remaster nobody cared about because they worse than originals and yada yada. We got Superstars, which was alright. It was okay. I mean, it's not ass, but it's not great. It's just filler. And now in the present day, in Big 24, time of this video, it might come out 25. I don't know how long it's gonna take to edit. But in 2024, Sonic X Shadow Generations, I'm gonna just call it Shadow Generations because I don't want to say that title again. It's freaky. Dropped. And this game had lots of hype since it was announced because, you know, it's Shadow. And then they like, okay, we're gonna pair up a new Shadow game about his past with one of the favorited Sonic games ever, Sonic Generations, and release it as a package. 2 games in 1, push it out. It's all for y'all. That whole had hella hype. We were all hyped for that game. For that game, every trailer looked tough, every snippet looked tough, every review was like, okay, this game is tough. And to top it all off, IGN ranked it and gave it a 9. A 9 for a Sonic game.
You high, white boy?
Yo, through all these ups and downs, Sonic has finally made a comeback. At this point, Shadow Generations already dropped. Everybody loved it. All we had next was Sonic Movie 3. And this, the end part of this video, is my favorite part, bro. I saw Movie 3 a few days ago at the time we was recording, and that this movie was just, there's been a lot of ups and downs for this franchise. Shadow Generation was the game that, like, okay, it's solidifying the idea that, hey, we're back for sure. Like, this franchise is tough again, completely. There's no questions asked. But Sonic Movie 3 was the cherry on top. That movie is so goated. I don't know how to put the words. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't put this in the script. It's that tough. It is the #1 movie in the world, and we are balling. Nobody can tell us shit. I said this earlier. Fuck off Disney. Like, #1 movie in the world. That movie is not like the first one. It's not like, hey, buddy comedy with Sonic. It's not the second one. The second one, this one doesn't have no crazy wedding subplots with the humans. There's barely any humans in this movie, for real. This is literally the definitive Sonic movie. Let's put this into perspective. When it comes to trilogies in film, they usually don't get better by each movie. They usually don't. Dark Knight did not get better by each movie. A better example, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. The second one's the best. First one's the second. The third one's the worst. You see what I'm getting at this? Usually, it's never 3, 2, 1 in order. It's always 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 for the most part. Most of them go 1, 2, 3. This franchise, best movies is 3, 2, 1. They get better each time. This is literally the only franchise to completely have such a feat. If anybody's telling me that Sonic 2 is better than Sonic 3 or 1 is better than both, they are lying. They're trying to rage bait. They're trying to be mad. All excitement aside, I know y'all seen some reviews about the movie. Y'all got on Twitter. Y'all got on all y'all social media apps talk about it. Y'all got on to talk about it. We saw the movie, saw the ending, saw the last 40 minutes. The last 40 minutes of that movie is so tough. Post-credit scene. Not gonna spoil. Maybe you haven't seen it yet. That movie in this franchise, in that cinematic universe, has so much potential. It's crazy. It's crazy. What I'm trying to say is that, yeah, us fans have tuned in for wherever they drop, Sega or Paramount, but this is getting bigger than just us. Like, Sonic is back into mainstream again. This isn't a niche thing. This is a mainstream thing. This is like pushing Marvel MCU levels of mainstream. Like, people who don't know the depths of this franchise are going to watch the movies. What I'm trying to say is that I've never seen a lot of people be introduced to the franchise all at once. It's nice to see this because I've been carrying the weight of this franchise on my back for over a decade now. To close this out, Sonic is and will forever be one of the toughest franchises ever. He has had one of the toughest comebacks of all time. Besides LeBron 3-1 comeback against the 2016 Warriors. Thanks for watching. I love you all, and to all, a safe night.
The things you do.